All right, I'm going to break down for you guys and gals the 6 lifts I think most people should be doing. I feel like these are solid lifts that if you at least did these 6 exercises or very, very close proxies to them, that you would be able to build a really good base. You will be strong, you'll be big, you'll be reasonably well developed top to bottom, without too many significant imbalances. And the other thing I want to break down with them, obviously, I think we need more than this. I obviously do a lot more than this. But again, if you had limited time, like a lot of times people are like, man, I can really only get to the gym 2 or 3 days a week. I'm only going to be able to squeeze in this small amount. It's going to be that way for months. If you at least did these movements, I feel like everything would be covered. Most people could still make gains. You could still actually have a pretty decent physique off of just these exercises. And what they're going to be, obviously, you're going to see the back squat here. All right, I'm going to have these 6. So I'll just tell you what they are, then I'll break them down a little bit. You'll watch me doing them in the background. But a back squat, or in this case, I'm doing a box squat. Then, of course, then I do some back hold work after these singles. But back squat. Right, king of exercises is going to be conventional deadlift, a bench press, weighted pull up, all right, overhead press of some type, generally with a barbell, and then barbell curls. So let's kind of break them down and why they're in here. Back squats. Let's just be straight up. The back squat is the king of exercises. It will build big thighs. It will build big glutes, right? It won't necessarily always give you the hamstrings and stuff you want. But when you start looking at what gets built on the back squat, right? It's good for helping with your overall core. But again, thighs. So it's going to hit your quads and adductors really hard. It's going to hit your glutes. It will work your calves. It'll work your abdominals. You'll get some core development. It's just an all-around great exercise. Again, because it's also full range of motion for the quad, you're going to get, again, quadricep development. It's way up there for that. And I know people will argue about certain body types that won't maximize it, and that's okay because we're talking about just building a really solid base, not necessarily, maximizing everything. But the back squat, it will put more muscle on you probably than just about any other exercise, the deadlift being, pretty close also, right? Which then we come back over to that, the deadlift, right? Conventional deadlift, not a sumo deadlift, a conventional deadlift. A lot of the same muscles, glutes, quads to a lesser extent, but the hamstrings, the calves, the erectors of the back, right? It'll build all that. It'll help build traps. It'll build grip strength, right? So it helps with your forearms, all these things, right? You're going to get all of this stuff from it. It brings a lot to the table. Brings a whole lot to the table. So again, it builds all these things. And between these two, you can build a pretty impressive lower body. If you're not chasing, an absolutely amazing lower body, you just want really impressive. I mean, you're pretty well covered with those, but it also has carryover to your upper body and your whole system. And they both make you really strong. All right, bench press, pretty much king of chest exercises. And people's like, well, I don't feel it in my chest. Well, you're not benching correctly, right? You need to learn to get the grip wide enough. You need to stack your wrists. You need to pause on the chest, all that stuff. Now, could I make a case for, could an incline bench be substituted here? Yeah, possibly. I'm a huge fan of the incline, by the way. I, these days, actually do more incline work than I do flat bench. But let's come over. Let's talk flat bench. All around chest development, builds your whole chest top to bottom if you perform it correctly. Now notice the way I'm benching here is very chest dominant, okay? Even though I've got a little bit of an arch and there's a little power lifter stuff going on. Again, very, very chest dominant way to bench. Now, does it still build triceps? Does it build front delts? All that? You bet it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, bring all that to the table. Then it does build a lateral head of the triceps better than extensions, not necessarily long head. But then we can discuss that. How about the pull-up then? All right, pull-up works the other end of it. Pull-ups do help with the long head of the tricep a little bit, so it may contribute there. Again, balancing development with these other movements, but lats, traps, rear delts, to a smaller extent biceps, more grip. Okay, I don't think any of this built biceps enough though, which is why I have the curls in there. But pull-ups, between these exercises, we're getting a decent amount of delt development. Obviously, we're going to have the overhead press to finish that. But again, mid-traps, lower traps, Arguably the absolute best lat exercise you can do. More grip training, abdominals. Okay, potentially long head of the tricep. I've even seen Dr. Mike point this out. So we have all this, right? Now we're getting pretty balanced. I mean, in fact, between these 4 movements, have we stimulated everything to some extent? Yes. Like every muscle in the body is going to grow from these 4 if you did nothing else. Now, not necessarily going to be balanced or optimal. So then we start saying, okay, what about the other stuff? How about how about a barbell curl? I'm a big fan. Like, I think the barbell curl should be a basic exercise everyone does. This is a big compound movement. This is not an isolation movement, because notice the movement of the shoulder, notice that range of motion, and you can get pretty strong at these when you use a little bit of body English. All right, full bicep development, because if you do the whole range of motion all the way to the face, we work both major functions of the bicep. Done correctly, the way I'm doing it, it shouldn't hurt your forearms. In fact, gives the best bicep activation, but again, more forearms. Okay, there's definitely parts of the shoulder that get worked on that. Okay, abdominals. There's been studies on that showing that even the core and the trunk involvement's pretty high on a regular big barbell curl like this. So again, we're getting all this stuff. So then what else do I have in here? Then the overhead press. In this case, I'm doing more of a bodybuilder style overhead press, not the strength oriented version where you're standing, but a nice strict full range of motion, wide grip. That wide grip, well, what do we get out of that? A little more side delt, with that wider grip. Also, if you do like I'm doing, you bring it down to your chest. Again, that good stretch is going to add a little more upper chest here, more so than when you're doing like the strict standing press with a closer grip. Getting extra upper chest, potentially a little bit of that long head of the tricep, more tricep development. Okay, this brings a lot to the table. Now, could you do the other version, the standing? Yeah, and I would say at any overhead press variation, whether it's a seated, a standing, and behind the neck, this is a good spot here. This should probably be one of your 6. Again, just for overall function, overall muscle balance. Extra shoulder though. And then I would say after that, guys who are chasing aesthetics a lot more, look, you could do these 6 and just come in and pound your shoulders with other exercises, and most of you guys would honestly be pretty happy with the results. You could come in and do a lot of shoulders outside of that, right? And that would get the job done. And the same thing, like I said, you could always substitute, flat for incline if you were really inclined to do that, pardon the pun. But again, outside of these, if most guys then, if you're chasing aesthetics on top of this, just hammer your shoulders. You'll do just fine, right? All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.